Hello, 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 hello. How is everyone today? There we go. We got our green screen. We got our green screen. My funky hair. My curls just want to go all over the place. Oh. Nobody's here yet, so I can act goofy. How you guys all doing? Oh my goodness. All right. How you guys all doing? Welcome to Positively Spiritual. My name is Shannon Gilmore. Yes, I'm your resident goofball, hepped up on goofballs. No, I'm fine. I'm doing great. I'm just happy. You know, it's good to just be silly once in a while, right? If you can't, that's one of the things for charisma and one of the things for your healing. You want to heal, just stop taking yourself so seriously. Learn to laugh at yourself and be silly with yourself. Learn to laugh with yourself, not at yourself. There you go. So, welcome. My name is Shannon Gilmore, and tonight I want to talk about something that is really important for many of us. We have one person in particular struggling with family issues, a few people struggling with family issues, and I wanted to take this time to address it. Okay, I'm not calling anybody out. You know who you are, but this is coming to you with love. Okay, this is my way of helping you by sharing with you publicly how to help yourself heal from this family dynamic. Many of us have been through this, okay, myself included. I have been disowned by my family, and I tried to get back into the fold by searching for another narcissist. Hello, Cynthia. It's nice to see you. Yay, first. Yes, hello. It's good to see you. Welcome. So in today's video, I want to address the root of why people remain emotionally tethered to narcissistic families, even after breaking free from narcissistic friends or partners. And we touched on this today, but I wanted to take a more professional approach than just off the top of my head. I actually took some time today and sat down and wrote some thoughts, put some thoughts together, and I hope this will help those of you who are struggling with the family dynamics of not understanding why. Like, my question that I noticed that I posed today is, why is it that we can let go of the narcissist, the spouse, the best friend, the coworker, but yet when it comes to our family members, we may acknowledge that they're narcissistic, but we still have a hard time letting go, and there's a reason for that. And hello, Ellie. Nice to see you. Welcome, everyone. Come on in. Sit down, get comfy, because this is going to be I hopeful. Yeah, I hopeful. I hope it will be something worthwhile for you guys that you guys can take and really digest it, because I'm going to give you some little tips and tricks of the trade of understanding why it is difficult for us to let go of our narcissistic families. And I'm going to share with you how you can learn to just let go gradually, okay? Sometimes it's difficult. We're taught to go no contact with the narcissist, just cut them right off. But with family, it seems to be a little bit different dynamic. And don't let anybody tell you what to do. Certainly, take this information, what you want, do with it what you want. Don't I'm not an authoritarian. Like, I'm just here to share information, and if it works for you, that's great. And if it doesn't, well, let's work together to try to find some other answer for you. There's always more than one answer, right? There's always more than one solution. But in this video, please give this video a chance and sit all the way through it, because there will be some information at the end of it that, and throughout the entirety of this video, that I think will help you. So again, stick around to the end of this video, as I want to share with you some deep spiritual insight and give you practical tools you can put into practice today to help you break the unhealthy ties that bind you to unhealthy family relationships. As I just want to share something with you, as I went for a power walk this afternoon, I was thinking about our video this afternoon. And I was thinking about somebody in particular who was asking a certain question in our chat. And I don't know if they stuck around to the end of the video or not, but I was thinking about things, and it got me thinking about my own life and my own trauma and my own guilt and my own shame. Like I've hung on to guilt and shame for years and years, probably 20 or 30 years. And I was like thinking to God as I walked, I was just like, God, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that I was just so neglectful, because what came to my head was scripture that says, for hurting people and animals, we have to give an accounting. And I'm just like, is this what this is, God? Is what we're going through giving an accounting? I mean, yes, we're disciplined, but why do we hang on to the guilt and the shame? And so God was sharing with me during that walk some insightful information that I hope will resonate with you in this video. So let's get to it. Hi, everyone. It is so nice to see you. My name is Shannon Gilmore. We are here twice a day, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, and 10 o'clock in the evening, Eastern Standard Time. So if you like what you see, please give a thumbs up to this video and maybe subscribe if you haven't done so already. I so appreciate it, as so do we, the people in this chat. This chat appreciate it, and welcome to the family. Make yourself comfortable, and if you feel comfortable, please introduce yourself into the chat, but please mind your audience. Be respectful to your host, me, and also yourself and other people who are here in the chat. We want to stay on topic. If you have a question, that's fine, but let's keep it on topic. And if you have a really pressing question that you really need answered, you're welcome to ask me in my email. My email is in the description of this video, so please feel free. shannongilmore@protonmail.com. So why family bonds feel unbreakable? For many of us, I'm not saying everyone, but this is still a topic that needs to be addressed, because if you are not going through this, chances are you know somebody who is or has gone through the narcissistic family dynamic. And for many, the inability to let go of narcissistic family members. Hi, Jeanette. Nice to see you. Welcome. Come on in. For many, it's hard to let go of those narcissistic family members, because it's not just about guilt or obligation. It's more about survival. It's a survival programming, because as children, excuse me, sorry. As children, we are wired to attach to our caregivers, even if they are or were harmful. The subconscious mind equates familial attachments with safety, even when it's toxic. Hi, Ellie. Nice to see you. Welcome. Come on in. How you doing? Made some delicious beans. Cynthia made some toast. Good evening. I need this topic tonight. So do I. And I think some other people do too. So good. I hope this topic helps us. It's it's something that needs to be said, and I don't think we give enough credit to it. Going back to our family ties. So Ellie made some delicious beans, hot dogs, and English muffin. Researched family estrangement, broken heart syndrome. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? It's tough. And broken heart syndrome is, I think that's what we deal with, being burnt out and broken heart syndrome. And I think that's what we deal with when we lose the narcissist. And psychologists, tell us that, oh, it's because we're codependent. We may have attachment deficits, yes. I'm not gonna say that we don't. We do have attachment deficits, but I think brokenhearted syndrome is a major, major cause to our pain and our hurt, and that's why we can't let go. You know, we, even in the family dynamic, why we can't let go is because we're brokenhearted and we're trying to regain something that we lost. But if we don't know what we lost and can't put a name or a finger to what we feel like we've lost, then we're just grasping at straws, trying to grab to our family and say, here, look at me, I matter. So we're going to figure this out tonight. So Cynthia says, I have family. No one speaks to anyone. I feel isolated. Oh my goodness. Oh, I have broken heart syndrome. I was feeling sad and lonely today. Aww. Aw, God bless you guys. Aw, how you guys doing now? You know, I know our chat room is on Telegram is a little bit quiet right now. But if you guys ever need to just talk, you're welcome to just scoop me off an email and just say, you know, just share what you're feeling and we can talk. It's okay. It's all good. So, as children, we are hardwired to attach to our caregivers, even if they are harmful. The subconscious mind equates familial attachment with safety, even when it's toxic. And this is why someone might successfully leave a narcissistic partner or friend, but still cling to the idea of reconciliation with their family, who are equally as toxic. So, just got back from a hospital visit. Everything okay, Jeanette? You doing okay? God bless you. Healing to you and your family, whatever your needs are. May God is there to help you. Okay, so, excuse me. The family, unfortunately, is where the original wound comes from. It's the blueprint for all future narcissistic relationships. Go figure. Great. You know, why are we not surprised? Well, when we let go of a friend or a spouse, there's a sense of reclaiming power, but letting go of a family feels like an existential threat. It's a severing of the foundation we were conditioned to believe that was unbreakable. You know, we watch those films and TV shows about the family being really tight, you know, like really tight, you know, pinky swear kind of thing. That just doesn't happen in our families. We don't have unconditional love in our families, unfortunately. And I think God is showing us that, you know, families where you would assume that that's where you find unconditional love, that's where unconditional love rules the least. But in our families, that's where our identity comes from. That's a serious deal. You betcha we're going to exhaust every avenue trying to find a peaceful solution to reconcile and come to terms and peace with our family. And we will make peace with our family even at the cause of our own suffering. That's just who we are. So, Jeanette's friend is in the hospital. Well, God heal your friend. He is. So understand that we hang on, like our family relationships are probably the last ones, even though they're narcissistic, they're the last ones that we let go of because it's hard to admit, it's hard to go cold turkey. And that this is where we find our identity. So if we let them, our family members go, you know, we've lost a sense of identity, letting go the narcissistic relationship to let go of our relationships with our family that are equally as toxic. That's going to cause an existential crisis, an identity crisis that will leave us where? Don't know. And we don't want to find out. because we are willing to go the distance with our family, we do not see how our family continues to project onto us and how we allow them to do so. It's like all rules concerning narcissistic trauma and narcissistic abuse are tossed out the window. We can admit that our family is toxic and abusive and they gaslight us and they emotionally torture us. We can admit it, but we can't accept it. And I'm here to tell you that admission and acceptance are two very completely different things. Our families, like any narcissist, projects their anxiety and guilt onto us. Narcissistic families externalize their guilt and shame, dumping it all on to us, we become their scapegoat. And the scapegoat then internalizes these feelings as if they are our personal truths. You know, maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe I should have tried harder. Maybe I was the problem all along. Yeah. And so with these false narratives that we've come to believe in our life, in our mind, in our hearts, we go to our families with this in mind, trying to reconcile. We try to redeem ourselves. And what makes it harder to let go is maybe you yourself had to endure some harsh consequences or failures that made you look bad in the narcissistic family. Maybe you lost a job, maybe you got divorced, maybe you lost your kids. And you now have to face your family's judgment of you that is rooted in hellfire. And that hell to pay, that judgment is now seared and set in stone, and it's lifelong. You can't get away from it. You can't say sorry enough. You can't make amends. You can't do better to be better. Nothing you do is ever good enough in a narcissistic family. And that leaves you feeling like you can't do anything right, because the truth is you can't. Nothing you or anyone can ever, what you can do, like there is nothing that you can do that will ever satisfy your narcissistic family. That we just have to come to terms with. And the projections from your family, oh, these you take on as your own, but they're not your thoughts, they're not your feelings. They were implanted by a system designed to keep you small and compliant. Why? Why? Because bullies always pick on the weaker. Shame, shame, double shame. You know that saying, shame, shame, double shame. I forget the rest of it. That just came to my mind. But it's like for shame on our parents. Shame, shame, double shame. Our parents, if they knew better, they would do better. But they don't know better. And our parents feel such shame about themselves that they project that shame onto us, and then we internalize that shame, and sometimes we project that shame onto other people. Families bully one another for hierarchy. Oh, they fight for dominance. Your siblings fight you for the dominant position in the family to get the parents' favoritism. And parents who bully their children, well, they don't want to be demoted or replaced by their children. The parents maintain dominance through cruelty to keep their children subordinate and to maintain the controlling position within the family. This is cruel and unloving, and it creates feelings of inadequacy within you. Now, you may do things to make your parents proud, and you live your life striving and trying to get their attention and their approval, and it all falls away because you can't maintain what you were striving for because the expectations are too high. And so you realize that nothing you ever do is good enough. So why keep trying? So see, what happens is, for example, excuse me, you say you become a rocket scientist because your dad wants you to become a rocket scientist. So you live your dad's dream. You know, your dad lives vicariously through your ambitions, as your ambitions are not your own, they're your dad's, and you become a rocket scientist because he was one. But this isn't your dream. And so what happens is, it's not a dream, it's just work. It's forced. There's not any fun in it. You know, you just aren't inspired, and you just have no, excuse me, you have no sense of accomplishment, with like personal accomplishment within this job title. And so what happens is, you don't recognize it, but you end up self-sabotaging. Maybe you get yourself fired, not meaning to, but on a subconscious level, yeah, you get fired. But, you know, it's not something that you actually consciously did on purpose. It's just, this is just what happens. And your dad loses favor with you and thinks that you just muck everything up, and he's totally now disappointed in you. And the reason why you subconsciously perhaps lost your job is because you couldn't maintain what you were striving for because it wasn't in your heart to do so. This is your dad's dream, not your own. And when we see, what happens is, when we become the scapegoats, when we become the people who try to hang on to the family name and family dynamic and try to be the peace giver and try to keep the peace and be the peace giver, and we try to maintain, you know, just the status quo of everybody getting along, you start living your life for your family, not for you. And because those expectations are too high, you set those expectations too high, you're guaranteed to fail. You're guaranteed to fall. And that falling or that failure sets you up for a false belief. I knew it. I knew I wasn't good for anything. And my parents were right. I am dumb. I am stupid. I was never meant to be a rocket scientist because I can't even, you know, I'm just not as good as my dad. And then you start comparing. You end up giving up on yourself because no one championed your efforts. No one in that family. Yeah, okay, so your dad, who was a rocket scientist, and you became a rocket scientist, it seemed like your dad was pushing you in the right direction. It seemed like your dad was supportive of you, but no. Because if this was unconditional support, your dad would allow you to, you know, find your own dream job. Your dad would be like, you know what? It doesn't matter what you do, just as long as you're happy and is fulfilling for you. So go live your dream, go do you. But no. So when disappointment comes, and it will in families that have high expectations for you to fulfill their dreams that they couldn't do, or you continue their dreams, their legacy, they make your life all about them and not you. See, some parents, this is coming to me now, some parents want children as an extension of them to carry on their legacy so that they proverbially will live on forever. But then there's some parents who actually want to have children to have children and to raise an individual in love, for love, by love, through love, and raise a loving individual and watch that loving individual grow to be their own individual loving person. But until you recognize that these projections that your family put onto you don't belong to you, you will probably continue to act as if in front of them that what they're doing doesn't matter. And you'll take it out on yourself in your own life. And you will act as if there's invisible chains that keep you tied to the family dynamic where you feel like you can't let go. It feels like you're forced to stay in this relationship. Many survivors remain trapped in cycles of proving their worth to a narcissistic family that has already decided that this child is unworthy. But where did this drive come from? That's what I tried to ask this afternoon. Where did this drive come from? The first moment of victimization is in childhood is crucial to examine. So that's what, if I would like to revisit, if you guys were talking with me on the phone, if we were having a one-on-one consultation, this is exactly what I would ask of you. I would ask if it would be okay for us to have a conversation where we revisit your past, not in memory and, trip down memory lane or anything like that, but just for your consideration in your private time, maybe your journaling time, maybe your prayer time with God. Find somewhere in your past where there was a singular moment of victimization in your childhood that started it all. What was ground zero for you? Or what was the closest thing to this ground zero for you? Was it the first moment that you were in with your family as they made you feel like you weren't enough? Maybe they made you feel like you're not good enough, not lovable enough, maybe not loyal enough, maybe not worth being accepted as who you are. And maybe your academics has, a large part to do with it, but maybe there was other things in, your family interaction where you have ignored where the initial victimization was seen, because all the focus of the attention was on your education and your dynamics to become a rocket scientist. But no, there was other areas in your life where you were victimized and sidelined and brushed aside as well. So from that moment on, your nervous system was sent into overdrive, trying to earn love that was never freely given. See, this is the thing with narcissists. If we look at one spot in the narcissistic dynamic, you can see narcissism everywhere. And when you're ready, I would encourage you to take a look at this childhood lifestyle that you had with your family, and not to poke it apart and say, okay, my parents were failures, my parents were bad. No, I just want to go revisit to where those feelings first originated from. Where can you start feeling in memory where those feelings of inadequacy came? Because when you can pinpoint it, where and what scenario, then you can better address it. When people struggle to let go of family, it's because they are still seeking redemption, believing that if they can just get their family to see their worth, then they will finally feel whole. But this is a mirage. Narcissistic families thrive on maintaining the scapegoat dynamic because it serves their need for control. And that's what this is. So if you can understand, as we understand our regular narcissistic relationships, that it's across the board. It doesn't matter who the narcissist is, a spouse, a family member, a grandparent, a parent, a child, a teacher, a person in position of power, your pastor, a bishop, a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer. It doesn't matter. A narcissist is a narcissist, and they, across the board, the defining characteristic in narcissism is control. And that's what we have to understand with our families. They choose one in the family, yes. But one person chooses the scapegoat. Yeah, exactly, Cynthia. Hey, Resistor, how you doing? Yeah, they seek out the innocent, the unaware. That's right. And when you can understand it, and it's very hard to understand that our parents, our family members are that controlling. And maybe it's difficult to let go because with parents, they are naturally controlling. So as adults, where do we draw the line now? Where does their control begin and end? Where does the switch off take place where we become in control of our lives and they let go? And they become submissive and understanding to our choices that we make for ourselves. See, our subconscious can't tell the difference. So we have to be the ones to say, okay, mom, dad, that's a no-go. I'm putting my foot down. You can't talk to me like that. And we think that's disrespectful. But it's disrespectful for the parent to still control their adult children. It's totally disrespectful. So breaking free, facing the original wound. Healing requires turning inwardly instead of outwardly. Instead of trying to convince the family of our worth, we ask ourselves, well, when was the first time I felt unworthy in this family? Excuse me, what patterns from childhood am I unconsciously repeating in my friendships and romantic relationships? What would happen if I stopped seeking their validation? What would happen if I just, visited my parents less and started listening to my own voice, my own inner child, my own inner being, and did what I wanted? When you see that same cycle repeating in every relationship, you can finally understand it. It was never about the narcissist. It was never about the friend, the partner, or even the family. It was about healing the original wound of being unseen and unheard. Ooh. And the most powerful truth of this is that you actually don't need anybody's approval or reconciliation to heal. You are already whole. You just have to recognize it. And that's where you've got to let go of this power dynamic and stop listening to the voice of those disapproving parents. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to, if you're in a partnership with somebody and you lose the business, well, it takes two to lose that partnership. It's not just your fault, but you didn't know what you don't know. And, if you want to go into a business a second time, well, you know what to do differently. So you've learned. We are collateral damage. Wow. Well said. Well said, Cynthia. So understanding that you must recognize that you are already whole. And I want to say something that, you know, on this channel, I am really a big advocate for talk therapy. Talking about trauma is extremely helpful. However, I want to make this clear. Talking without the intention to release it, this is what keeps people stuck in a cycle of emotional pain. Many survivors unconsciously hold on to their pain because it validates their suffering. And with some of the people that I talk to, you know, giving peer support counseling and mentoring, over the years, I've noticed a pattern that some of us get into this unconscious pattern of just cycle of talking, and suggestions can be made, brainstorming can be made. But if you're not going to do the work, if you're not going to allow yourself, you got to give yourself permission. And I know it's uncomfortable, but at some point you got to trust the process, and you've got to learn to trust yourself, and you've got to learn to just let go of that pain and allow yourselves to move forward. Because sometimes it feels like hanging on to that pain validates our suffering, because our parents and family won't admit that they caused us suffering. So we need to hold on to it in order to validate that, hey, something bad happened to us. Because if we didn't, then it would just go ignored, because everybody else who hurt us just want to push it under the rug and ignore it. The fact that you can heal is validating. The fact that you're healing from the abuse is validating. It's not ignoring it. It's creating something beautiful that was meant to cause you to become obsolete. You're making yourself into this worthy, beautiful treasure for the world to see, instead of being shuffled under the rug as dust and never to be dealt with ever again. No, that's what the narcissist wants. But actually healing and talking about it and dealing with it by putting in the exercises and doing the legwork in your healing, whatever that is for you, you are transforming yourself into someone beautiful, more beautiful, as you've already been beautiful. You always have been beautiful. But now you're creating someone that you can see for yourself. You don't need to hang on to this pain to prove that the injustice was real. The fact that you're healing is proof enough. But the deeper issue is the belief that many people who hang on to this suffering, they deep down believe that they deserve to suffer. That pain is the price for existing. And that if they let it go, they will lose the chance to be vindicated by the family who wronged them. But understand this, that it's not through the family that you're going to find vindication. It's through yourself, by your own self-realization. Narcissistic families will never give the validation that you're seeking, because your suffering is what maintains their control. And your healing actually points the finger to that they did something wrong. And you don't need their acknowledgement to heal. You don't need their acknowledgement of saying, hey, yeah, I was a schmuck and I hurt my kids and I did this and I did that. I'm sorry. You know what? You can rise above this. You don't need their changed behavior, because you're rising above this. You're letting it go and healing from it. And you're learning. They're showing you who you can trust and who you cannot. And if you're still waiting for recognition, if you're still playing their game, you're still playing into their form of control. True healing means realizing that you don't need anybody's acknowledgement, and certainly not theirs, to be free. And healing sets you free. Hey, light within us, how you doing? Takes two to tango. Yes, it does. Absolutely. So you're literally lying to yourself. Absolutely. Yep. And it's time to stop lying because God says, thou shalt not lie. And it's not just lying, like, no, I didn't steal the cookie from the cookie jar when you really did. No, this is deeper. This is allowing our egos to lie to us and gaslight us and undermine us. Like, this healing is important. It's setting us free. So here's some healing exercises to try out at home. Releasing the internalized guilt and shame. Write down every guilt-laden thought or shameful belief that you carry from your family. For example, you may write down, I was too difficult, or I should have tried harder. I wasn't lovable. Next, ask yourself, who told you this? Was it a parent? Was it your sibling? Was it your grandparent? Was it just something that you learned to believe from other people's negative behavior on you? Then ask yourself, well, what is the real truth here? Is this true, or was this just a projection? And can you see the projection? Can you call out your parents' behavior? Just doing some thought, deep thinking, just give it some thought. Are your parents hypocrites? Do they talk from both sides of their mouths? Do they show themselves one way in public, then behind closed doors they're just totally different? Oh, the way they act and the way that they treated you and other people played a huge role into the belief that you hold against yourself. So ask, is this my truth, or was it projected onto me from them? Finally, cross out each lie and rewrite a truth that aligns with your healing. Say, I'm not difficult, I'm just misunderstood, or I was misunderstood. And I was not unlovable. I was in an unloving environment and was surrounded by people who don't know how to love. Exercise number 2, breaking the trauma cycle, shifting from venting to healing. Instead of retelling your story and your trauma over again, and I love hearing your stories, and I'm a full believer that you're allowed to tell your story. You're allowed to share your story. You're allowed to tell your truth. And you're allowed to tell it as many times as you need to. But please just make sure that you're letting go of the pain from the story little by little. And instead of retelling your trauma from a place of pain, tell it from a place of power. Instead of saying, oh, my family never loved me, and I don't know why. Try, my family's love was conditional, and I'm learning to love myself unconditionally, because their conditional love is showing me the beauty of unconditional love. So if you find yourself stuck in this venting mode, just take a pause and ask, well, am I sharing to heal, or am I upset? Am I offended? Am I repeating this cycle just to validate my suffering? Like, what am I trying to achieve here? And am I being gaslit by my ego? Am I leading this with my ego? Number 3, visualization. This is a cutting the cords exercise. So close your eyes and visualize the emotional chains that keep you bound to your family's opinions and expectations. Really do some breath work with this. Like, listen to some soothing music like water, like a waterfall, or some ocean tides, and just breathe. And imagine Jesus helping you. bring Jesus into the details and imagine him cutting the cord and causing the separation between you and your family. Picture yourself or Jesus holding a golden pair of scissors, and you call out one by one the wrongs committed against you and the lies that you have believed, and you call them out, and you allow yourself or Jesus to cut those cords that link you to their judgment, their shame, and their guilt. And you just, each time you do that, you say, I release myself. Or you can say, I release you. Jesus says, whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth is loose in heaven. We have the power of binding and loosening. So just say this. Every time you do this, I release you. I release this pain. I am free. And it works. I mean, I remember I was attached to a narcissist. Like this was the person who took away my 9 years of celibacy. And I became attached because I wanted to right that wrong. So I stayed in that relationship trying to fix it. And I became way attached, like really attached. And so when the final discard happened, it got really ugly. Like he was just so verbally violent and disgusting. And God told me, he told me, I heard him say, detach your feelings from him. And I read in a book about our energetic beings, and I forget the name of it. I've got it sitting on my bookshelf. Oh, you can't see it. It's over that way. My bookshelf. What is it called? Frequency. That's what it's called. I'm looking at it right now. Frequency. Hang on a second. Oh, I can't reach. I gotta go. Okay. This book is called Frequency. Okay. It's a really good book. The Power of Personal Vibration. Okay. It's a really good book. And in there, they talk about releasing yourself from energetic attachments. And one of the, I don't know if I have it bookmarked or not, but in here, they talk about doing, a release, like just saying, I release you. The energy that I absorbed from you, I release you. I don't hold on to any, it's like getting rid of that quantum entanglement. I release you. Like I send all your energy that I absorbed from you, I release me from it, and I release you from me, and I send it back to you. It goes back to you. It's yours to own, it's not mine. I don't own you. I don't want to own you. I don't want anything to do with you. And when I started doing that, I started detaching my feelings, and I started focusing on me and focusing on things that I like to do. And it was like narcissist too. Like I noticed like a week went by and I wasn't thinking about the narcissist, never gave them a thought. And then 2 weeks went by, and then 3 weeks went by. And it was like, I think it was like 3 months went by and I went, I haven't thought about that person in a long time. Interesting. And it felt so good. It felt so good. Yeah, the book is called Frequency. Frequency, The Power of Personal Vibration by Penny Pierce. So, yeah. Explore the dynamics of energy, personal resonance, and our accelerating ultra-sensitivity to discover how a simple shift in frequency is often all it takes to change depression to peace, fear to enthusiasm, and what is that? Snagged situations to magical results. So, because science has long taught us to rely on what we can see and touch, we often don't notice that our spirit, thoughts, emotions, and body are all made of energy, that everything is vibrating. As we move out of the age of technology and into the age of intuition, we need the tools to understand what it means to be a vibrational being and how our natural frequency affects us. In Frequency, that's the name of the book, by Penny Pierce, shows you how to feel your personal vibration and work intentionally with energy to transform your life. Rather than being carried by external conflicting energies, you can still your mind and become aware of who you are, your natural frequency, and what you truly want to create. By fully understanding the role that energy plays, you can harness the real power behind the laws of the universe and reap the benefits of your life you're built for. So yeah. So the next technology, the next technique that I want to cover is the mirror work. Now, we've done this before, and for those of you who haven't done it, it might feel uncomfortable to do it, but stand in front of the mirror and speak to your younger self, the child who was hurt. Yeah. You might shed some tears with this one. I did. But you may not. You know what? You may find that even after you do the mirror work, you're sitting alone thinking about things and all of a sudden you start crying. It's going to open up some vulnerable spots in your life, and that's okay. But when you do this mirror work, say to yourself, I see you and I believe you. You did not deserve what happened, and you are enough. This exercise helps to reprogram the subconscious belief that you are unworthy of love. Now, here's another exercise that I swear by. This helps so much. The letter that you'll never send. Write a letter to your family, to each individual if you need to. Write a letter to your family expressing everything that you've ever wanted to say. And be brutally honest. Release the anger, release the grief, release the longing. And when finished, don't send it, but burn it, tear it up, even bury it as a symbolic act of release. Make a paper boat and fold the letter in with the paper boat and send it down the little creek. And as you send it down, speak words of blessings to that letter as symbolic that no more hard feelings. God bless you on your journey. May these words find their way to healing. And may the people that hurt me find their way to healing as well. I hold no more ill will towards them or myself. It's done. It's over. Aww. Cynthia says, I finally put a photo of me at age 9 on my dresser to remind myself. Aww. Hey, Tony, where have you been? How you doing? How you doing? It's nice to see you. Welcome. Come on in. It's been a while. So letting go is not losing. It's about winning. Hanging on to pain in the hope of eventual validation from a narcissistic family is like waiting for an apology that will never come. It will never happen. It is not proof of your worth. It's the proof of their control. True healing happens when you choose to stop waiting and just get on with your life and live. We've wasted so much time on making other people important over ourselves. And, you know, when I went for a walk today, I was thinking about this topic, and, you know, I was thinking about the things that I did. You know, how we are to call, God will call an accounting of, you know, the hurts that and the wrongs that we've committed. I'm just like, God. And I started thinking about the things that I did. I stole when I was a kid. And I was just like, I'm so sorry, God. Like, I know I've apologized, but I did some stupid things when I was a kid. I lied and I stole. And I just like, I don't know what I was thinking. And I know I was hurting, and I can give all excuses. And you know what I heard God say to me today? He said, no one taught you to ask for me, to me. Nobody taught you that you could ask for me for the things that you stole. No one told you that you could ask for my love. Nobody told you that you could ask me for healing. No one told you that you could ask me for comfort. No one told you that you could ask me and I tell you the truth. No one told you about me. And that's why you lied, because, you know, and stole. And sin is what causes you to turn to me. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then it's like, hello, Jesus didn't come to save the righteous. He came to heal the unrighteous. And we have to sin in order to see Jesus. And I was just like, oh. So we're allowed to let ourselves off the hook. We don't need to be hanging on to this guilt and shame. Because if you were made perfect, why would you need Jesus? Why would you? If you were perfect and righteous, well, you wouldn't need Jesus, because you got the law in your heart and you're living for Jesus, and you'd be like, yeah, I know Jesus, and Jesus and I are cool. And no, the whole process of, you know, the fundamental principle of this life is to love and be loved. That's the meaning of life. And we come to this earth with a memory wipe of not remembering who we are, so that we can make the choice to choose life over death, choose righteousness over unrighteousness. Through Jesus, we don't have to hold on to the guilt and shame of our transgressions anymore. And if we're still hanging on to it, we're hanging on to it from narcissistic families who are not saved or don't recognize they're saved through grace. And so they're punishing themselves, and by punishing themselves, they're punishing other people, including us. And God says, love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. And the second commandment is like it. Love the Lord, or love your neighbor as yourself. Your family members are your closest neighbors. And we're not responsible for what they do. And God told me that, you know, if it wasn't for you being hurt, if it wasn't for you being neglected, you wouldn't have neglected your own kids. If it wasn't for you being hurt and abandoned by your mother, you and your dad, you wouldn't have done that to your family and other people that love you, and friends and children. And, you know, you walked in their footsteps. God showed me that, or shared with me that I created the same sins my mother did. Not all of them, but I created enough so that I could relate to her and so I could forgive her. Because I can't hold any judgment on her when I've committed the same sins. So I want to forgive myself. I've got to forgive her. If I forgive her, I have to forgive myself. That's how it works. That's how righteousness works. There's no conditional love. It's unconditional. And for unconditional love to work, there needs to be a set of unhealthy conditions so that unconditional love can thrive. Aw, thank you, Resistor. So I hope this video has helped you guys, because I mean, you know, gaining insight is awesome. Like, I do take these videos to heart. Like, I do. I take them and I go for walks and I, you know, contemplate them with God. And God, this was really good insight today. And I reflect on myself. And so I just want to say again, thank you. Because without these videos, I wouldn't be healing alongside of you. I wouldn't be here today. So thank you. It's because of you. I love you guys. So with that said, you guys, it's 11 o'clock. Did you guys want to read Romans chapter 12 and 13? Are you guys up for that? Oh, it's just short chapters, very short. Will be about like maybe 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes tops. So it's just very short. So I'll read these two chapters, and then we'll say goodnight. So chapter 12, Romans. A living sacrifice. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test. Oh, I think I read this last night. That's okay. We're going to read it again. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourselves more highly than you ought. Yeah, I read this last night. It's fine. We're going to read it again. It's always good. So, do not think of yourselves more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourselves with sober judgment, in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you. For just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not have all the same function, so in Christ we, though many form one body, and each member belongs to all the others, we have different gifts, according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it's to lead, do it diligently. If it's to show mercy, do it cheerfully. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. Do not repay anyone for evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, "It is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord." On the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Chapter 13, Submission to Governing Authorities. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers hold no terror for those who do right, but for those who do wrong. Do you want to be free from fear of the one in authority? then do what is right, and you will be commended. For the one in authority is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They are God's servants, agents of wrath to bring punishment on the wrongdoer. Therefore, it is necessary to submit to the authorities, not only because of possible punishment, but also as a matter of conscience. This is also why you pay taxes, for the authorities are God's servants who give their full time to governing. Give to everyone what you owe them. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. Let no debt remain outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another. For whoever loves others has fulfilled the law. The commandments: you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and whatever other commandment there may be, are summed up in this one commandment: love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no harm to a neighbor, therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. And do this, understanding the present time. The hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because your salvation is near now than when we first believed. The night is nearly over. The day is almost here. So let us put aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. Let us behave decently as in the daytime, not in carousing and drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and debauchery, not in dissension and jealousy. Rather, clothe yourselves with the Lord Jesus Christ, and do not think about how to gratify the desires of the flesh. Wow. Awesome. Thank you for that. Wow, that was good. Thank you, Ellie. Appreciate your frequencies and sharing your life experiences. We appreciate you too, Ellie. We appreciate all of you. Thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight and showing up to these lives. And for those of you who are watching the repeat, thank you for watching all the way through. Thank you for staying with us. And we are here twice a day, every day, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 o'clock p.m. in the evening. And if you guys want to donate to this channel, because your donations help to pay my rent and pay my bills and to keep me here twice a day, there's a link to PayPal in the description of this video. So please give this video a like and a subscribe to this channel, and share this with people who you think would find value in this, as your sharing, your interaction, your comments, questions, and suggestions actually show YouTube that this video channel is worthwhile. So thank you for making this channel for what it is and growing and being a part of our family. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to rewatch and make the list that you went through. Awesome. Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, I guess we can go to bed, go to sleep, have a good night, and enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. God bless you. Good night. Sweet dreams. Bye-bye.